Could the negotiations in Oman between the United States and Iran lead to an agreement soon?
You and your audiences, I think that Donald Trump would like to search before arriving to the Middle East on an outline as a result of the agreement as his attempts to reach a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. I think the timing is related to the U.S. administration, but I think that Witkoff's statement that Iran is congested as its demand wasn't in the first round based on the American administration, as he says that it is Israel's demand, so Iran is suffering along with other dossiers on the table rather than the nuclear, and which is an internal responsibility of Iran. In fact, there are no indicators, but the only indicator that the U.S. is searching for approachment in general before Trump's arrival to the Middle East that should be positive in the strategic depths in negotiations based on my information, and there are no genuine principles between the two sides, unless in one case that Iran ultimately to respond. As the Iranians in the last negotiations and they found that that America is very serious by dismantling the nuclear Iranian program in reaching the ballistic missiles along with the Iranian role in Iraq and other countries, meaning that there is a possibility that we are hidden of primary signals that Iran submit to the U.S. demands, at least for the public opinion, prior to the visit of Donald Trump to the Middle East.
So, sir, following these developments you've mentioned, you don't foresee any scenario where Iran may obstruct reaching a final agreement with the Trump administration?
That both sides are very clear and exposed, as the Iranian side and the American side purposely stated that Iran accusing you is of stallment, and America has no luxury of timing, and in the same line, Israel is waiting closely and laid down the Iranian targets in its agenda, meaning if there is no negotiation to be reached, Israel is going to take the advantages, and it is possible for Israel to attack Iran, meaning and this file should be sealed along with other fights in the Middle East radically, but up till now, Iran, and I think that Iran has started to feel that the matters are going to deadlock, but either to maintain a state or launched into war that we do not know its repercussions. And U.S. Tackles several files such as Kashmir and Cyprus and Greece. These are the files on the American agenda. As long with the nuclear program, America would not allow in the new world order to become suspended due to the U.S. interest in drawing the new Middle East, ultimately forcefully or through negotiations, are pursuing a new Iran.
Yes, sir. Regarding Iran's statement that it maintains its right to peaceful uses of the uranium enrichment program, could this statement lead to the failure of the potential agreement between Iran and the United States?
I think that the media statements are messages, but in fact, in the closed door, they've already overseeded the public opinion either in Iran or in America. But I expected that Iran is feeling that the political side due to the negotiation issue. Yet the other choice is by the US militarily, this would lead to an uncalculated end. As we know that Iran is going to retaliate strongly, meaning Iran is already in deep swagrum over the American conditions. And this statement, I view it that first indicators do not say the truth, as there are indirect talks between Iran and US and not non-directed, and Iran allowed America to use this hint as they are indirect, but in fact they are actually directed. That would spoil the idea that America is the great evil. But these statements aren't calculated positively by both sides. We have to wait for the final round. As Iran says that isn't going to abandon its right of the peaceful nuclear program. Trump's round primarily, as Iran said, that it's not on a play, but they might go into a scenario to complement Iran sort of. But I think that the Omani diplomacy have succeeded, and if succeeded, that will transfer the Middle East and publicly you would say that they sealed this file, and in a way that could be a way of the plans of US. And nobody would actually predict the end of such a war. But I think we are before an unreal statement by Iran and the US compared to the frank statement for the houses by the US. So it advises Israel, but Israel has a conviction that it wants to preserve its interests, but they're not on the same pavement through the negotiations between Hamas and America and the Houthis and America, and now we're talking about Iran and America. So avoiding Israel has a significant, but I think if we've reached a positive point through the negotiations, so the Gaza dossier might lead to Netanyahu to be out of the political arena. As there is no disagreement, or rather, there is no agreement between Netanyahu and Trump.